good evening, and welcome to a Disney special presentation.
Hey, could we get a few of those constellations pixelated, please?
Build a giant edifice, fill it with flame, and crawl inside.
We can put our big, long chameleon tongues on it.
So, do you think if I stayed up past 7:30, I could be ripped and jacked and muscular?
Live from my grandmother's basement, we are the only Chris Gethard Presents podcast. I'm Emily Pineapple.
And I'm Forrest, the keeper of the Canon.
And today we're talking about episode 308, Little Green Guys.
We also are trash people.
Oh yeah, we're trash people. We talk about CGP. I feel like we can just say that we're the only CGP podcast now, and like, fuck you, Chris Gethard. Fuck you for ending your legit podcast, and now we're the only podcast, and you're quitting comedy, and that's okay, because, like, you gotta do you, you know?
Papa Geth has to do Papa Geth.
Papa Geth has to do Papa Geth, and if what Papa Geth is doing is spending more time...
He's being a papa.
He's being a papa. Like, that's real sweet, and I feel like he's gonna write some books and screenplays, and we're gonna be analyzing his literary work for years to come, but... Today, it's not the Chris Gethard Show.
No.
It's the Joe Rumrill and Andrew Tisher Show, Little Green Guys.
Which is going to be an evening about frogs and lizards, and that's it.
And this is airing on January 15th, 2020, and it was teased all the way back in episode 10. We're now in episode, 18? 38?
38.
Holy
more like
shit.
38.
38 episodes? I hate it when they do like 30
well,
something.
Because each wave is 10 episodes. So 1 through 110, 2 through 210.
So they really could have just said that it was 308. 38.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know
but
what?
I think Complaint Box is actually part of why the waves exist, because that was a clear wrap of the first wave, even though Monroe Martin's episode was originally supposed to air then.
That was a good episode. Fuck. Well, we've been waiting for this episode for a very long time. We have been anticipating learning about Little Green Guys. And I'm pretty excited. It seems like it may touch on, some pop culture representations of frogs and lizards. We have an Andrew Tisher quote. Is that correct? From Twitter?
Yes, it's a tweet from Andrew Tisher where he said, "Reading about the Budweiser frogs on Wikipedia and processing the implications of this claim." That claim is that Budweiser eventually slowed down the ad campaign with the frogs, and by 1998, the frogs were discontinued and replaced by lizards, which appealed to an older audience than the frogs.
Is a gecko a lizard?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's the Geico gecko.
There's the Geico gecko. There's Gex, the video game gecko. He was the lead in video game series from the 90s, and he was voiced by Dana Gould and made pop culture observations and jumped into televisions to go on adventures.
There's the Big Mouths from Rocko's Modern Life.
The big heads?
Big heads.
Yeah.
They have big mouths. They're frogs.
That's true. There's Frog and Toad.
Frog and Toad, they're friends.
They are friends. If I know one thing about Frog and Toad, it's that they're friends.
Dinosaurs.
Well,
are dinosaurs lizards, or are they their own thing?
I think they're birds.
Dinosaurs are their own thing, and birds are also that thing.
But sorologists study both.
Yes.
Or study lizards.
Yeah. Soros. I guess Latin probably.
You're right.
For lizard.
Dinosaurs are their own category and are most closely related to birds and crocodiles, not lizards.
So crocodiles are also not lizards.
No.
Damn. So we're not going to be hearing about crocodiles. We are not going to be hearing about dinosaurs. We're only going to be hearing about the little green guys and perhaps a Komodo dragon. Komodo dragons are pretty fucking big, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. They're not little, even though they're lizards.
Are they green? They're kind of brownish.
I mean...
Have you ever seen a real Komodo dragon?
Like in person?
Yeah.
No.
I think I might have at a zoo or one of those really sad pet shops where like there's nothing in the cage and all the poor thing can do is pace. And then you leave just like feeling sad about humanity in the world.
Wait. Yes, I have, I think. No, that wasn't a Komodo dragon. That was just a really, really big lizard. But there are green
lizards. That's pretty cool. But besides the green guys that we're going to be learning about, tonight's cast includes Joe Rumrill, that Muppet who's dating Rachel Pegram of the National Lampoon Radio Hour.
They co-hosted a chemistry class earlier in CGP's run.
There's Andrew Tisher, who was on TCGS
Twice.
He was the god among the ashes,
And
if that's something you remember.
He was also the second shooter, and we'll talk about those a little bit more later.
We have Charlie Barty.
Yes, who's a comedian and hosted Extra Blurt, a children's game show, and August Exploration, which is a weekly comedy show about August.
Barty is like a really good last name.
It is.
For a comedian or singer.
I would also love for Charlie Barty to do a show with Annie Donnelly,
Oh my God.
who appeared as Carmen's mom on CGP Episode 1, The Great Night Show, and appeared as herself on Great Night Show 3 as part of Comics Unleashed.
Her pussy was
Uncaged.
broken.
Comics Uncaged.
Yeah.
Yeah, her pussy
She
was
broke
broken.
her pussy. They ripped her pussy right open.
And she had some innovative uses for pop rocks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that. Blowjobs. Blowjobs is what they were.
And she'll host CGP on January 29th with an episode called Uncancelled.
Is that next week?
No.
It's the week after
It's the week
next.
after. Next week is... Oh, why did I just blank on her name? Megan Stalter.
Yeah, Megan Stalter. Stalter, I barely know her. Okay.
Oh.
That was the appropriate response to that. We have Ike.
Ufamadu?
Ufamadu. Thank you. We've seen him.
Yes.
He's amazing. I should get his name right because you should all be able to look this person up. He sold us meats.
He did. He sold us meats on the very first episode of CGP, and he's a Drama Desk award-winning actor who wouldn't flub that line delivery, and a writer and comic entertainer. And in addition to his appearance as the Meat Pitchman, he was on a great episode of the defunct CGP podcast that Chris Gethard used to host, where him and Connor Ratliff did an acting exercise where they repeated 90s song lyrics back and forth to each other and gradually amped up the energy and by changing the intonations.
I love that. I love that so much. Papa Geth, do you think Papa Geth is going to do a pod with his kid?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
God, Papa Geth. Eliza Hurwitz. We got comedy writer, comedian, and star.
And she appeared as Lizette on Enchanted Pumice.
And she was on 7 episodes of the special without Brett Davis. I feel like we just need to watch the special now.
We need to watch. We've seen like a couple episodes. We need to watch way more of the special.
Yeah. We got Scott Nelson, improviser, and was himself on Comics Uncaged and as the craft beer guy on Great Night Show number 1. Give us a line or a characterization from
Comics Uncaged?
Yeah.
He was the guy who has a teenage daughter.
Oh my God.
You know what that's like, right? Everyone knows that's like these teenage daughters.
They come to, oh my God. That was oh my God.
He was both he and Annie Donnelly were so
Oh my
good.
God. I just watching them, it was like my entire childhood watching Comedy Central just like smacking me in the face.
Oh yeah.
With like classic, just bad comedy.
And I've watched a lot of Comics Unleashed and the Byron Allen oeuvre, and so seeing that parodied by them was so great.
And we got Long Neck Lass, who will be the house band for the episode.
And they sound like a perfect pick based on the band's description, which is Lily Mastrodemos is the front woman and songwriter for the exhilarating, muscular indie rock project Long Neck Lass. Mastrodemos' own personal investment in biology finds its way into Long Neck Lass's discography. She uses beehives, lichen, and icebergs as precise metaphors for relationships at various states of growth and decay.
Mastrodemos is a much better last name than Barty.
This episode, chock full of great names.
Mastrodemos, like, I kind of want to go by that. Like, don't call me Emily Pineapple anymore. I am now Mastrodemos.
Mastrodemos Pineapple?
No, just Mastrodemos.
Just Mastrodemos.
Mastrodemos.
Add it to the wiki.
We're going to talk about Joe Rumrill. We did talk about him in the Rachel Pegram episode.
Well, in the Joe Rumrill and Rachel Pegram episode.
True, because she also had her own episode.
Yeah.
She's also on the National Lampoon Radio Hour, and you should all listen to her.
And if you want to know more about the history of it, listen to last week's episode where we talked about the National Lampoon Radio Hour.
Or just spend your time listening to the National
Or just
Lampoon
watch
Radio
it on YouTube,
Hour.
yeah. But anyway, back to the current episode.
Yeah, so we're gonna go through our bios of these folks. Typically in the second episode about someone, we talk about their social media.
Yeah.
But this is kind of a mix-up. We have a second episode for Joe and a first episode for Andrew. And back when we did Joe Rumrill's first episode, we were like, oh, we're just going to get the entirety of this person's career and discuss it because that's a thing that humans should and can do.
Yeah, it was going to be a complete overview of their path to CGP.
So we missed some shit.
Yeah.
And so we're going to share that shit now.
Yeah. And some social media.
And some social media. And I was thinking I would cut down this intro, but I reread it and I like it so much that I can't. Joe's a fucking writer.
Well, yeah, no, he's a great writer.
Like, Joe is incredible, and I want to read his adorable books. I want him to write kids' books, and I would read them to my children.
I would love that. I think that would be a great fit for him.
Like offbeat little kids' books. Joe Rumrill is a fictional one-eyed spinach-loving sailor created in 1929. Wait, no. Hold on. Joe Rumrill is a Brooklyn-based stand-up comedian and writer who performs anywhere you need him to. No sewers, please. Not after the last time. His work has been featured in Seriously.tv, Splitsider, and The Village Voice. He was also in that parody magazine, that parody.
Hard Times?
Yeah, Hard Times. Yeah. Real fun.
After graduating with a bachelor's in music composition from the Hart School of Music, despite almost getting thrown out for writing a piece that involved interrupting opening night of the school's production of On the Town, Joe moved to New Haven to perform in various punk bands. Frankly, he got really tired of lugging heavy amps to shows. As it turns out, you don't need to lug amps around to act and do stand-up, so now he just does that instead. He moved to New York City and wormed his way into the comedy world, and hasn't looked back. With absurdist one-liners and his self-described wholesome lunatic stage persona, he has performed at such hallowed venues as Caroline's, the Bell House, and Union Hall, and opened for luminaries like Janine Garofalo, John Glazer, Chris Gethard, and Kermit the Frog. Sort of.
Joe can often be seen playing various characters on the weekly MNN series The Special Without Brett Davis. He's the creator of Fresh Perspectives, a popular weirdo comedy showcase in Williamsburg that has been featured in the Brooklyn Comedy Festival. He co-created Cartoon Monsoon, a monthly uneducational children's variety show bursting with puppets named Puppet.
Love Puppet.
Animation done by Miss Mary Houlihan, and costume characters that can be seen at the Annoyance Theater. Yeah, so that's with Mary Houlihan that he does this show. His talents were utilized as a writer, story producer for the upcoming web series Start Talkin' with Scott Rogowski.
In addition to performing nightly on various shows throughout the city, he recently wrote and starred in his first hour-long solo show, Joe Rumrill is Scared to be Shot Out of a Cannon, and is working on a musical based on the Gremlins movies.
It's a really fun one, and you can see the whole thing online in segments.
Joe Rumrill is afraid to get shot out of a cannon.
Is too afraid.
Too scared.
To get
you both got it wrong.
To be shot out of a cannon. He's a coward, and he's not going to be shot out of a cannon.
It's a great show.
But you should all watch the show. It's fun.
He hopes to one day, with the right combination of campaigning, crowdsourcing, and luck, be the first person ever to perform stand-up comedy in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Speaking of, Joe's Christmas list can be provided upon request, and as luck would have it, he's been a very good boy this year.
He has been.
He has.
I would guess so. So 7 things that we love from Joe, some of which we didn't see before our first episode.
Yes.
Number 1, y'all got to check this shit out. If you check out one thing from this Joe Rumrill list, check this shit out. It's called Down at the Duck Pond with Joe. It's Joe. He's at a duck pond with some friends. It was created back in 2016, directed and edited by Tynan DeLong. And he sits by a duck pond with a new celebrity friend. We got camera by Jeremy Levick, sound by Johnny Froman. Johnny Froman did a fucking great job.
Oh, the sound on this.
Perfect
is so
sound.
Great.
Perfect sound. Great stuff. Animation by Mikey Heller, possibly Emily Heller's brother.
That is inconclusive.
inconclusive, Emily Heller is a hilarious stand-up. You can see her special online, and she does a podcast with Lisa Hannawalt, the woman who designed the stuff for BoJack Horseman.
That podcast is Baby Geniuses.
It's really good. And Emily Heller is amazing.
But so I love the description of wholesome lunatic in regards to this, because this has a darker side to Joe's persona that we don't always get on other things.
Absolutely. There is guests that include Andrew Tisher, which is a fucking excellent episode of it, Joe Firestone, and Nick Nanny, and a bunch of other people. And it's really fun because it's Joe's sort of classic, like, you can't really tell what world you're in.
Yeah.
Like, are you in a fairy tale? Are you in a storybook right now? Is he just crazy? Or are they all using like elaborate code words for like really fucked up weird shit?
Yeah, no, that like liminal space between all three of those is where this firmly sits.
Like at a certain point, they're talking about how Joe has found a Nobel Peace Prize, and the other person finds a third grade soccer champion trophy, and like the moral value of those like are equivalent, and you're like, what world is this? And like chestnuts.
Oh, the chestnuts thing on episode 3.
That's with
perfect.
Andrew Tisher.
That's Andrew Tisher's episode,
Yeah.
yes. And they talk a lot about Beatrix Potter, beloved children's book author.
Yeah, and Joe talks about how he was slandered by Beatrix Potter, who suggested that he lost his chestnuts. And you should all check that out. What are the chestnuts, friends? You have to watch to know. It really did feel like a short story.
It did, and they're each about 3 minutes long, so the amount of story that they just naturally get through is very impressive.
I love how he delivers his lines.
Yeah.
Because like he's an excellent writer, but you can hear his voice as you read, even without having like seen him before. Like reading his Hard Times stuff, I was just like, heh. And then like seeing him perform his stuff, I'm like, oh, wow. Like he writes like he sounds.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
And that's also true of his Twitter feed, which is where we found our second thing, where he gave a gift to Rachel Pegram. In a tweet posted January 4th, 2020, he said, quote, "My girlfriend is a comedian as well, and it's the best, although she got pretty angry with me this Christmas. But come on, isn't one of the greatest gifts you can give a fellow performer a standing ovation?"
The star of the National Lampoon Radio Hour deserves better. From her Muppet.
I just love it.
Now I see that you have done a prank. Can you tell how much I love Rachel Pegram throughout this? Can you tell how much I just want her to have a cameo in this episode? Like, I love these guys. Like, they're great. But, like, I see Joe Rumrill and I'm like, oh, is Rachel Pegram going to be there?
His, like, absurdist imagery and the scenes he creates are just so perfectly up my alley.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love wholesome characters that have this, like, weird underbelly where you can't tell if there's actually something darker going on, or...
It's the absurdist wholesome.
Yeah.
It's this mix where your brain has to fill in the gaps. It's kind of like the anti Lorelai Ramirez, who Lorelai likes making situations with their prose that makes one like think the worst, like really fucked up shit and just be really, really uncomfortable. Like they use that question space
right
to make someone feel uncomfortable. And like Joe uses that question space to make people be like, wait, what? Like this could just be really wholesome.
Yeah.
Or this could be like something really weird. And Lorelai's is like, oh, this could be really fucked up. Or this could just be really confusing.
Or just this is definitely
fucked up. I love it. I love it. I love it. So the next thing that we have of Joe Rumrill's is Joe Rumrill's Christmas to-do list, posted late 2019. This is on Vimeo. It was co-written by Alex Winfrey, who directed it. They worked together on Joe Rumrill's little poems, which are also on Vimeo.
And are very good. We talked about those a little bit more last time. And so in this, Joe goes through his Christmas to-do list to make sure that he feels the holiday spirit. And I love how full of absurd imagery it is that uses holiday idioms and iconography and then twists it. And it uses everything from like
stuffing the stockings, and it's like he's putting turkey stuffing in a stocking.
And like the finishing touches on the Christmas village.
Which is like a
Godzilla.
dinosaur. There's like random animations in it. Like random monsters.
And then the way it plays with those sort of Christmas car commercials is also really good.
Oh yeah, no, it plays with Christmas car commercials. It plays with a lot of things. Definitely check it out. Really good production value.
And I love that it has that level of production value paired with just like goofy wordplay and jokes. Because seeing the side, it lands that much harder because of how beautifully shot so much of it is.
Yeah. And speaking of Christmas, our next thing is his a tweet, Joe Rumrill's fantasy and nativity draft. Pink Panther is Joseph. Stregonona. Remember Stregonona?
Stregonona?
She's a children's book. She's Stregonona. She makes rock soup.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She's like a witch.
Yeah.
She's like the Baba Yaga, but nice. Stregonona is Mary, the yellow M&M, Snoopy's brother Spike, and the mummy are the three wise men. Hoda
Kobe, I think. She co-hosts an hour of the Today Show where she gets wine drunk.
Huh. She's the angel. And Michigan J. Frog as baby Jesus. Game on. Who's in your fantasy draft?
Oh, me as me?
No, who's your fantasy draft? Yeah, you.
Or are you asking...
You, Forrest, keeper of the Canon.
Well, first I'm going to read Tim Platts, who was Puppet on Cartoon Monsoon. And he said that for him, a giraffe was Joseph, the Loch Ness Monster was Mary, a raccoon, a pelican, and the BFG are the three wise men.
Oh my god, the BFG!
Pinhead from Hellraiser is the angel, and Wayne Gretzky is Jesus.
That's beautiful. Steve DeSena, who did music on Cartoon Monsoon, said, Dracula is Joseph, Bride of Frankenstein is Mary, the Incredible Shrinking Man, Invisible Man, and Wolf Man are the three wise men, shortened to 3WM, like that a lot. The creature from the Black Lagoon is the angel, and Jesus is Costello from Abbott and Costello.
And then Joe said, Steve, I swear I almost put Creature from the Black Lagoon as my angel. This is amazing.
What's your pick?
Papa Gethard is Joseph.
Okay.
Shannon O'Neill, owner of the greatest hair on television, is Mary.
Okay.
The three wise men are Murph, the human fish, and the hint master. Vacation Jason is Bethany Hall is the angel.
Yes.
And then baby Jesus is Vacation Jason because he's on his vacation on Earth.
Absolutely. That's stunning.
Yeah.
That's better than anything I would be able to come up with.
Okay.
Send us your fantasy drafts.
Yeah, send us your fantasy drafts.
For the nativity. Tell us what you think. 5. Why Joe Rumrill never got his driver's license. This is another tweet posted October 26, 2019. So we really couldn't have shared these things.
What?
In our first episode that we did.
No, for the social media, our first episode wouldn't have done it. And then, a lot of them have been posted since our first episode.
Yeah.
He never got his driver's license because he was too afraid that his physical similarity to Mario behind the wheel would get lots of turtle shells hucked at him.
He does look a lot like Mario, and I hadn't really thought about that.
That's why I wanted to include this, because I also hadn't thought of it, but it's such a funny, Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that driving while on mushrooms is not unlike playing Mario Kart, which is a line I stole from a comedian. And I forget which one.
Was
it Billy Anderson?
Billy Anderson.
Billy Anderson.
Of the Gateway Show.
Of the Gateway Show. Check him out. It's really fun. There are clips online.
You know what else you shouldn't drive on? Tequila, which is the subject of our 6th thing, which is also a tweet that was posted on September 19th, 2018. And Joe said, a guy who is singing along to Tequila, but he can't remember the word tequila, and it's coming up to that part. And right at the last second, he remembers, but yells, Eureka! Because he remembered, but then instantly realizes he fucked it up.
It makes me think of the Eureka guy in the
Eureka.
bathtub.
What?
You know how the guy who said Eureka was trying to weigh a crown, and he learned the theory of displacement.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the king was like, you must weigh this crown, but without scales. And he's like, what will I do? And then he got in the bath, and the bath overflowed. And he's like, aha, I will put this in a tub, and I will measure the amount of displaced water, and that will tell me the weight of the gold that is inside of it. Eureka!
Why did the king ask? How did the king know that was a thing? Like, how did the king expect? Was the king just messing with him?
I have no idea.
'Cause that's the question that asks.
It was either like the king was messing with him, or like they were trying to figure out how much gold was in the thing, and they didn't want to melt the thing down.
Okay.
Science. There was science involved, and I remembered it because it was a funny story.
I mean, I
And
like
there
it.
was a picture book associated with it, and Joe Rumrill should write the story.
Oh, I would love his version.
He should rewrite that story.
And then our final Joe Rumrill thing that we're going to talk about is another Vimeo video that was posted 8 months ago called I'm Going to Jump the Grand Canyon, where Joe Rumrill announces his goal of jumping the Grand Canyon.
But just him jumping the Grand
Yeah.
Canyon, not with any equipment.
Just him.
Just him jumping the Grand Canyon.
That's it.
I think he can do it.
I think so.
I mean, if anyone can do it, it would be Joe.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and he says the reasons why so beautifully in this video, so I don't feel the need to repeat them, but go check it out.
He is not unlike Mario in that way.
Oh, you're right.
Perhaps he just needs the right cape. And
Or the
then
right mushrooms.
right mushrooms, right cape. He has to find a falling feather.
Or you can just steal a
can-
tail from a raccoon and
Yeah.
use that,
Yeah. He'll have to cheat the raccoon out of his tail.
and then
And
he
then
can fly by wagging it around.
that sounds a lot like a Joe Rumrill story. That like he had to go and like trick a raccoon to get his tail and then use it to jump the Grand Canyon. And all the other animals were like, oh my goodness.
Be careful, Joe.
Be careful, Joe. They line up on the edge and like Mary Houlihan animates it. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And that's it for Joe.
Oh yeah. He talks about how people don't know what state the Grand Canyon is in, and that he doesn't either. And that made me realize that I have no fucking idea what state it's in. Utah?
I don't know. I mean, I can...
I don't know that I want to know now.
Okay.
New Mexico?
Well, I know now.
Where?
I thought you didn't want to know.
Now I want to know.
You sure?
I'm
'Cause
sure.
Once you know, you can't unknow.
Spoilers. Okay, everyone, spoilers. If you don't know what state the Grand Canyon is in and you don't want to know, spoilers.
Also, to clarify, I have been to the Grand Canyon and I didn't know where it was.
Spoilers. Where is it?
Arizona.
Oh,
Makes sense.
yeah.
He did name most of the states around it.
New Mexico's near there.
Yeah, ish.
And now we're going to talk about Andrew Tisher. Andrew Tisher, this newcomer up to the bat of CGP. And oh my God, it was really, really fun seeing his stuff. There's not as much stuff of his.
No.
He does all this improv bullshit, which is ephemeral. It only happens here. It'll never happen again. And
It's just as
fuckers in
ephemeral.
California don't get to see it.
It's just as ephemeral as CGP After Party every Wednesday on Planet Scum after CGP.
And we love you. We're not going to quit comedy like some people.
We would have to start doing comedy
That's true.
to quit it.
We can never quit because we have never started. You can trust us.
I'm also not going to quit as an astronaut,
Yeah.
as a superhero,
President.
as a tax assessor, as a lot of things. There's a lot of jobs I'll never get to
Being
quit.
a dinosaur. I'd love
Some
to
would
be
say
able
that's
to quit
something I
that.
could quit. I did say podcatcher on a recent episode.
And what's great is that I was listening to a podcast like the next day and they used Podcatcher and I was like, what? So Andrew Tisher is an actor, improviser, and writer from Napa, California.
Yeah.
That's so close to us. That's where wine is from and fire.
And where Francis Ford Coppola lives.
Huh.
I think.
Huh.
He has a winery, so probably.
He spent, not Francis Ford Coppola, Andrew Tisher spent several years performing in Chicago before moving to New York City. In Chicago, he performed at the Annoyance Upstairs Gallery and at I.O. Theater with the Herald teams, Neapolitan Sports Team, and Gold Star. So I.O. Theater, that's Improv Olympics.
Yes.
That was started by Charna Halpern. And she was like the like protege, I think, and like partnered with Del Close.
Because they co-founded it.
Yeah, they co-founded it with Del Close, like improv legend Del Close. Yeah, like seeing these theater names and the things that he did, especially in Chicago, was like walking through improv history.
Yeah.
He is a true Chicago improviser. I could see Second City all over his shit. Like it's smart, but like fucking weird.
You mean I.O.? Because I.O. was influenced by Second City?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the Second City seeds are in him.
Right. No, I totally agree. And he currently directs and performs in the Annoyance Theater's Holy Fuck Comedy Hour and improvises with the New York Improv Frogs. He is one half of both the sketch duo Be Good Boys and the musical improv duo Selfish Green Men. And this is from his UCB performer page.
In 2015, he came to San Francisco to teach a workshop at Endgames Improv, which is the place where we took improv classes here.
Yeah.
It's really good. If you're ever here, take classes at Endgames. It's fun.
It's very fun.
They're really good.
And as we mentioned, he appeared on The Chris Gethard Show once as the second shooter, where it was on the conspiracy episode, and he was the cameraman wandering around shooting The Chris Gethard Show on a camcorder of his own. And then once as the God Among the Ashes,
which I fucking love.
It was amazing. He played it was like a sad, sensitive god whose worshippers have all gone extinct, and was part of the crowdsourced character contest 3.
And we used a clip of his in the intro.
Yes.
Where he talks about creating an edifice, fill it with flame, and then crawl inside.
And we're also using a clip for the outro from that character.
Yeah, so honestly, check out that clip. It's fucking amazing. And it made me think of the improv game that Del Close came up with called, what was it, Worship or something?
I think it was Worship.
Or like creating God where everyone names qualities of a god that is in the center, and then they worship that god. And it's all fucked up and occult and freaked the shit out of motherfuckers in the 80s, which makes me want to do it.
I mean, that sounds like a really fun game.
And it does show off his skill at painting absurd imagery and lore. Like, he's very good at suggesting like a lot of backstory without having to use a bunch of words to explain that backstory. I think that's something that's something about his performances is that, and it's the same with Connor too. There's this, Connor Ratliff, there's this feeling that there's a ton of information behind everything that they're saying, and you can just fall into that world really easily, but they're not actually saying that many words.
That is true. And that's definitely one thing I love about him. Our next thing is a great tweet that he made about heaven, which was posted on January 6, 2020. And he said, quote, "My grandparents are all up in heaven with the other ghouls, walking the grimy, ghoulish avenues, using pumpkins for money, howling in the heavenly choir with the owls and the black cats, up in that light-flooded cloud city of ghouls."
I want to go to that heaven.
Right? It's such a vivid picture. It's so good.
It's very God Among the Ashes.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Lovecraft adjacent, but a little bit more storybook, which I think complements Joe's stuff really, really well. It's like he's an Edward Gorey and Joe is Shel Silverstein.
Yeah.
Well, Joe is like Beatrix Potter, and Andrew is Edward Gorey, and together they are Shel Silverstein.
Yeah. No, I see that because there's the dark. Yeah.
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 the dark and the light and mostly absurd.
Yeah.
And then like random, really heartfelt shit. Yeah. So the third thing that we loved of his was an episode of a show called Everything is Alive, which featured performers like Shannon fucking Neal
And Connor Ratliff.
and Connor fucking Ratliff. It's a really, really good show. It's kind of like a parody NPR style thing where they're interviewing, it's Radiotopia, where they're interviewing objects. And so Andrew plays a tooth that is on display, and he wonders things like how he was removed from the body that he was once a part of. Things like how he came to be on display and what he wishes for the world, types of teeth and exploding teeth. There's like a whole thing about exploding teeth, and like they do research on it, and now I need to Google that. It was very good.
And then another thing is a clip from the special, because he was a regular on the special as well, where he plays Walt Disney. And this clip is from, well, like I said, this clip is from the special, and it was posted on April 27th, 2018.
This is one of my favorite things.
I loved this. And we also use a clip from this in the intro, and it's him sitting in a very Disney office.
Looking like Walt.
He looks so perfectly like Walt.
And he talks about, he introduces Aladdin as if he's, right before the VHS is going to play.
Yeah, it's very Wonderful World of Disney.
He was unfamiliar with Aladdin because it was neither a German nor French fairy tale.
And he gives a shout out to Nick Nanny in the middle of it, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, and he like kind of retells the story of Aladdin, but in the way that like Walt Disney liked it, which was actually just a story about like intense oppression and white supremacy, but like Aladdin as that person. Yeah. And it was really good. I'm like, oh my God, how is Aladdin a colonial story? Like, I never thought about it that way before, but it totally is.
Yeah. No, and that it's that is, like you said, it's one of my favorite things. I would love to just see more of him as Walt.
Oh my God, yes. I want him to retell like all of the stories. Like, this is why shitty old Walt Disney just was into this.
Do a version of Saving Mr. Banks, but with him composited in over Tom Hanks.
And he's really fucked up the whole time.
Yeah, and it's just him being pretty bad the whole time.
So it'd be more like reality.
And then number 5 is another clip from the special without Brett Davis. This one was posted on March 7th, 2018, and it's the competition to replace Steve Whalen as Mr. Jokes, who's one of the stock characters on the special.
And so he essentially plays a terrible comedian with an exceptionally charmed life.
Right, which is, and Mr. Jokes, just to explain it, is like your hacky Borscht Belt comedy character where he has a shirt that just says "I love jokes," and it's just like very set up punch.
Boy, are my arms tired.
But Andrew Jokes, who's Andrew's version of Mr. Jokes, he's a subversion on that, where he's like, I took a flight and boy did I have a lot of room, or something.
Yeah, he's doing the flapping thing with his elbows, and he's like, boy did I have a lot of room to stick my elbows out in first class. Yeah. And like he like picks on someone from the audience, and she becomes just like so enamored with him and his terrible jokes that she just like runs up on stage and kisses him.
After Steve Whalen also reaches out to her, and she just like completely ignores him.
Yeah, it felt like what the Joker's life would need to be in order for him not to be a murderous psychopath.
Yeah, once you pointed that out, I couldn't unsee it.
Yeah, it's like this. Oh my God, it's a beautiful fantasy. It's what every motherfucker at an open mic, and I do love open mics so much. What like 90% of the motherfuckers who get up for an open mic and never come back like think is gonna happen, and I can just see it in their eyes. Forrest, I see it there, and then I watch their dream die.
I know.
And I laugh to myself and don't do comedy because I want to live in this schadenfreude and never actually put myself out there to do the hard thing.
Speaking of hard things that I don't want to do, Number 6 is Reader's River, the Green Who Took Christmas All Away.
This is the best fucking thing.
I love this.
It was like as if someone was telling the Grinch story. They like told it to a translator in a wildly different culture. And so they had to like change a lot of the references in order for like those people to understand what the fuck was going on. And then it got translated to another culture. And then it got translated back into English.
And this
all by an AI.
It's so good. It's so good. It was posted Christmas Eve 2017. Story, illustration, music, and title design are by Ben Kling, and it was directed, shot, and edited by Whit Conway, who also frequently works with Carmen Christopher on things such as his short film I'm Killing It.
Which was great.
Which is so good. So I love that yet again we're seeing all these like interlinked chains amongst all the CGP hosts.
Andrew plays like a LeVar Burton style person, like reading you this book, but he's kind of terrible at it, and the book is so fucking weird.
And it's like the reality around the show is so good as well.
Yeah.
Like this one also really plays to his ability to paint or to inhabit sort of a dark absurdist reality that isn't just, that's pretty similar to Night Vale in terms of tone.
It felt very welcome to Night Vale. If that is a podcast that you have heard, it's by Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Kramer, and it's really fucking good. And it's been on for a very long time.
There was one quote that I had to write down as soon as I heard it because it just stuck with me, which was, "You hold all the power in the world based on what you call things. And I call you friend."
And like you really don't know if in the reality that he's in, if that is like actually physically true.
Right? It's like, is this a Mr. Rogers like, hey, you have value thing? Or is it like, no, in this world, words are magical and are the things that bind everything together. And by uttering certain words, you can shift the nature of reality itself.
Yep. And then the next thing, our final thing about Andrew Tisher, Journey to Australia.
It's another really funny tweet of his where on October 20th, 2019, he said, "Requesting my casket be buried upside down. So if I'm buried alive, when I escape, I will surface in Australia where I want to visit."
It's on fire now, I'm sorry. But you might be able to see Sam and Lil Yoni, our buddies from the Discord.
He is from here, so.
Andrew?
You know. Yeah.
Andrew is from here. He's going from one burning hellhole to another burning hellhole where we have friends. Yay. So yeah, that's Joe Rumrill and Andrew Tisher. I'm really fucking excited to hear them talk about frogs and lizards.
I was excited for Little Green Guys as soon as Joe explained it, but after having seen Andrew's tweets and his stuff and his appearances and things.
And how they act together.
Yeah.
How well they bounce off each other and really deepen and enhance each other's comedy.
And realizing he was the god among the ashes.
Oh, yeah.
Like when that clicked, it was like, oh no, they are going to commit so hard to this premise. And I'm so excited to see how far down it's just about frogs and lizards this goes.
We tried to look up some facts about frogs and lizards.
Yeah.
We were like, maybe we'll find some information.
But much like our discussion of that last tweet, it just got really depressing and about climate change.
Yep.
So
they were all just climate change. I'm like, either it's literally just images of frogs with like kid stuff, like frogs are green. They eat bugs. Or it was like, these frogs are disappearing. They're a keystone in this environment, and it is all a metaphor and well, not a metaphor, but this is an example of how the climate is dying and we're all gonna die. And I'm like, no, frogs. They'll like show you a really cute frog, and they're like, this is the last one of these.
I have a bonus tweet that I want to share.
In its skin, it can cure HIV, and this is the last one.
This bonus tweet sort of touches on similar things, which is, how was there never a Tweety cartoon where he's the coal mine canary and Sylvester is trying to eat him? Opportunity for minecar, pickaxe, falling rock gags, etc. Granny as prospector? They should have made this. Something not adding up.
They really should have. And then like like Tweety gets out of it by pretending to choke. And so like Sylvester gets all freaked out and runs out of the mine. And then he wakes up at the end and is like, "Ah, I'm Tweety Bird. I'm a trickster. Ah."
It also would have been a good opportunity to bring up the dangers of mining.
Yeah.
And potentially forestall all this terrible, terrible change.
Climate change is real.
Windmills don't have these problems. I thought I saw a sustainable energy source. I did see a sustainable energy source. That's what Tweety should have said.
But it was too late. So yeah, we're really fucking excited for this episode. I'm really excited to talk about frogs and lizards.
I mean, I am
learn
literally
about
so
frogs
excited.
and
I
lizards.
just did an art.
Yeah.
I just made a promo poster for it because people need to see this.
Yeah. I truly, okay, so I wanna fantasy cast a piece of art that I want these people to make. I want Andrew Tisher and Joe Rumrill to write a story about frogs and lizards, and then I want Mary Houlihan to draw and or animate it, and I want it to be a storybook. And then I want Mr. Whit, is that his name?
Whit Conway?
Whit Conway?
The guy who shot the I'm Killing It
Yes.
stuff.
I want him to work with that guy who did the audio for Joe's Christmas list.
You mean Alex Winfrey, who co-wrote and co-directed it with Joe?
Yes. But
or are you thinking of Johnny Froman, who did sound for
Johnny Froman, I want him.
Down in the Duck Pond.
I want him.
Okay.
I want his sound shit.
Okay.
Sound's important. Sound's hard to find.
And getting that kind of isolated audio by a duck pond.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Very impressive. That's what I want. What do you want? I also want Rachel Pegram to be in it.
I want Cartoon Monsoon the movie. I want Cartoon Monsoon to actually become like a Saturday morning TV show. That's what I want.
That'd be amazing. I'm here for that.
Or at least, yeah, that'd be great. I would watch it. I'd wake up early and have a bowl of cereal and relive my childhood.
Sugar snaps.
Oh, gotta have my sugar snaps.
Sugar straight to the dome.
Yes.
It's like meth, but not.
I mean, yeah. That's accurate. That's accurate.
It's accurate about most things. But yeah, so we'll see you all on Wednesday for Little Green Guys. Keep an eye out for Little Green Guys in your neighborhood. There probably aren't any, though, because of climate change. There were frogs in my backyard when I was a child.
What?
There were frogs in my backyard when I was a child. And then as I got older, there were fewer and fewer frogs. And then my dad died and there were no more frogs.
There were never frogs in my backyard.
I have like a complicated relationship with frogs. Mostly that I really like them and they're not around because of climate change.
That doesn't sound that complicated. That sounds like a very simple relationship and it's just you miss them.
I used to catch frogs at like this summer camp I would go to with my family in Yosemite. Me and my dad would catch frogs.
I would fly an R-Wing starfighter as Fox McCloud alongside Slippy Toad.
What the fuck?
Star Fox.
Okay.
I met frogs almost entirely through pop culture as a child, not through the real world.
Frogs are pretty cool. I caught tadpoles.
Oh, I saw those.
In like the weird creek by my house. But they all disappeared, honestly, by the time I was 12. Like the climate actually changed like that fucking quickly. So yeah, we're just going to preserve our beautiful memories and see you all on this Wednesday. Join us on the Discord. Join us for the ephemeral after show. And get your green together. We're all going to go green for this show, right?
Gotta go green.
Gotta go green. Gotta go green.
Fans of the Gethard Show, bootlickers, dog men, men who would be dogs, I can make your panting dreams come true.